on this computer. Okay. Okay,
Hi.
so Jerry, it's super important to me to figure out how I can insert myself into this world and help people who are suffering with their food choices or lack thereof to kind of overcome those obstacles and get to the point where they're back to enjoying life and enjoying food again. And you and I had a great conversation at your presentation, gosh, I guess 6 months ago or so, where you were talking about just nutrition in general. So I kind of wanted to get your feel on gluten-free and where you stand, where it starts with you.
Okay. It's gluten-free. See, the issue is, my point of view, there's genetic predispositions. We're genetically predisposed to things, right? But what happens, the environment brings these things out. So, right? So environmental issues can bring these things out. And environmental can be chemical stressors, mental stressors, or physical stressors. Remember we talked about that?
Right.
So I always go back to my chart. This is Dr. Jerry's optimal health chart. All these things on top are environmental issues that can bring out gluten sensitivities. Okay. So once so these, well, I can explain this later, but how we want to do things. These things bring out our genetic predispositions. And if we don't have a genetic predisposition, these things cause immune system responses, cause inflammation, causes malfunction of the body, immune-wise, nervous system-wise, and hormone-wise. Okay. So we're talking mostly about the chemical issues, which the chemical issue has a physical manifestation because it causes inflammation in the GI tract. Okay, and that's the ticket with gluten, and or these, it'll be Crohn's or irritable bowel. All these issues cause immune system responses, inflammation, and altered GI function, which causes depression. It causes anxiety. It causes joint aches, joint pains, brain fog. It causes pain in the GI tract. All the malady. It causes malabsorption. All these people are prone to malabsorption through iron, calcium, osteoporosis, fatigue, hypoglycemic, all sorts, and vitamin D deficiencies, which leads all sorts of disorders. So my issue on gluten, we want to find out, is it just gluten? Are they sensitive to it? Do they have a genetic predisposition to it? Are they have an allergy just to wheat? So the key is these people have on all these Facebook pages or anywhere they're suffering. But the key is to find out what is the problem as best we can, objective wise. Then you can deal with it effectively. Then you can change your immune system response to the gluten. That's the key. So you find out what the altered GI function, whether it be immune system problems or malabsorption or the probiotic issue in the gut, you're more susceptible to damage and responses, harmful responses to the gluten, right? Or wheat or other allergies you do have. Okay, so that's my issue on the gluten. Now, the thing is that people so they have these problems we're talking about, and they're suffering like this is horrible for these poor people. But the thing, it could be gluten, it could be just sensitivity, it could be genetic. You want to find out why, because you could target your nutrition more specifically to help the body heal so it has less of a response.
So as far as gluten, in connection with the sensitivity or the strength and care of your microbiome,
yes,
and how your nutrition intake affects that can have a complete influence on how you are, how well you are, and how successful you are thriving in your food climate, for lack of a better term. Because that's where life starts, I think, is with food. If you don't have the right fuel going into your system, and it wreaks havoc on your entire nervous system, you are not going to be functioning well, and you're going to be chronically ill. And we see that a lot with people beginning with IBS, elevating into other things, Crohn's, colitis. It manifests in so many different ways in the body, depending on how you are malabsorbing. So as far as attending to the microbiome and discovering and fine-tuning exactly what you are sensitive to. How does that play in your world?
That's where the testing comes in. I like objective data. You have objective and subjective data. That's how you get better results. I'm gonna go back one quickly to one little thing you started talking about earlier. The food you eat has an instantaneous response. Everything you do instantly changes your genetics or how you feel. To the nervous system, to the neurotransmitters, to the hormones. Anything that you talk about, that's why it's so crucial, has an instant response. The body has an instant response to what we eat. It can make you happy, it can make you sad, it can make you sick, it can make you ill, make you feel better or not feel better. So as you talked about earlier, that's why food is so critical. It's an instantaneous response. So my thing back to what your other question was, let's get the data so you know specifically what you're looking at. That way you can change your microbiome so you're less responsive to these problems. And as you said, they create more problems later on because of the malabsorption issues, and whether it be dementia or heart problems or bone problems. So the people are very aware of their bodies nowadays, which is really key. They're more aware of what's happening. So they have subjective symptoms. See, but the subjective symptoms are fine, but you don't know what objective is happening inside in the GI tract. So, or in the body, anyways. So say they're gluten free. They want to be gluten free. Gluten irritates them, correct? So they go, okay, I'm on a gluten free diet. But are they getting organic changes? They may feel better, but as the GI tract still not functioning well. So that means they're not really healing themselves well. They may feel subjective-wise well, but they're actually not healing the GI tract. They may need some external support, but maybe more probiotics. Some people take probiotics and they even need less probiotics. Some people are taking vitamin D. They may be taking too much vitamin D, right? So with the objective data, you have things, a way to monitor the progression of the disease or where you're at with it. That's why data comes in very handy. So people can be sensitive to gluten. Maybe it's fatigue. It's like men go to the doctors. I'm tired today. I'm tired all the time. Well, here's testosterone. Well, even checking testosterone. They might be fatigued because it might be high cholesterol. They might be fatigued because they have viruses. The men might be fatigued because they have low iron. Or they might be fatigued because cortisol levels. So why give them all testosterone? See, so people who have gluten sensitivities, they might be fatigued, thinking maybe gluten or maybe partial gluten, but maybe some other reason. Maybe an iron problem, maybe a virus problem, maybe a hormonal problem. So ideas with data, you can rule those things out and save people a lot of time and money fishing around. And then make, as you said, trying to get to the root cause and also get them healthy so they can have vibrant lives and be energetic and not have future problems down the road.
So with the testing, talk about the testing that you move forward with to help people get a full picture of their present body health and help them visualize what their future body health could be with proper information and a structured program going forward so that they're eating for their health, not for their, what do you want to call it, their desires. A lot of people beat themselves up because they can no longer have those donuts, or they can no longer have pizza or fried foods, all the favorite gluten-free things that you lose. But those may not be the best things for you at all anyway. So it's a good thing to get rid of those. And how can we put you on a track where you are eating for your health, and that food now becomes your medicine instead of any of the prescribed medications that are out there, and help them to stop lamenting the loss of these so-called favorites that they now have to forego.
Yeah, food is the cause of most major diseases, heart disease, cancer, and dementia, although it's a major cause of most things we have. So once you realize you shouldn't be eating these things in the first place, that we're going to be a lot healthier and better off. Now that's hard. Some people can't accept. It's hard for some people to accept.
It is.
But it's our job to get that message out there and to let people know that it is valuable to eat better just for overall general health, and they can make your own complaints better, and besides it, but your future health better, so you can again thrive and have optimal health. Right. So the testing wise, it all depends on what we're actually trying to achieve, and the person's individual history. See, so that way we get a good history. What do they have? Do they have just gluten sensitivity? What do they have? Anxiety? Are they on medication, psychological meds? Have they had any heart issues? They had trauma in the past. Have they have any arthritis? They have old injuries. What else is happening with them that makes them more susceptible to the gluten? issue. Okay, so there's also underlying issues we have. Some people are genetically predisposed. So what kind of family history do you have that we have to really watch out for, you know, because that's going to present more problems. But the testing, there can be a basic blood panel. You're going to test, there's like maybe 60 markers to begin with. Your iron, your cholesterol, your thyroid has a major impact on all this. Your kidney issues, there's liver enzymes, there's blood sugar, electrolytes, all those can be thrown off with any kind of GI issues. Then you can go from there more specifically. They have the gluten sensitivity test. They have the wheat allergy test. They have the celiac test. They have genetic testing. So that way you can really fine tune what you really have. And then, as you said, you can get rid of your symptoms, but you can start creating a new, get your organs functioning better. Get your GI tract functioning better. That's the key. It's not just eating well, we want your organs, we repair your organs to be an optimal level to get rid of your problem now, but also have less problems later on. See, with data, we can monitor that. Okay, so there's gluten testing we could do, there's allergy testing you can do, data more specific for that. The blood test, and then there's all sorts of things we can go on to after that, depending what the patient needs and the wants of the patient and where they want to go. See, some people just want to feel a little bit better. They don't really care about how their organs are doing. Or some people don't want to take any vitamins. And sometimes it's impossible not to take vitamins, because if you have gluten sensitivity and you're malabsorbing, and it means you can't eat a lot of food, because food is going to cause you more issues. But that's where supplementation comes in. Medical food comes in to help your gut heal while you're eating properly. Eating less, actually. You have to eat less while your gut heals. But then you can't thrive, you can't heal well without the supplementation to help you heal the gut heal. And that's where supplements come in. And some people don't want to take supplements, but the kids we should be taking some kind of supplements.
Well, because you can't get all the nutrition that the body needs without supplementation.
You eat 10 bananas a day, 5 pounds of broccoli, 15 pounds of nuts. You know, you can't have all that food. It causes more disease. Food causes free radical damage. Food itself is a cause of disease. You eat more food, it causes more free radical damage and oxidation in the body. So that's why the longevity people is calorie restricted diets. But then they can't thrive because they can't get nutrients in. See, people live longer. People on calorie restricted diets live longer, better, lower cancer rates, lower heart disease rates, lower blood sugar problems. But then they don't thrive because they don't have the nutrients. See, so to thrive, like you, look all your body's so excited and doing things. In order to thrive like that, you couldn't eat a real healthy diet, because you wouldn't have the energy to thrive. And when Americans or people who are energetic want to get things done, we want to thrive. So we need supplementation to give us the nutrients to thrive while we're eating less food.
There you go. There you go. So once the testing is all done and you discover what the profile is of an individual and how they stack up health-wise and whether they have deficiencies here and there, how do you react to that? What is the next step?
Oh, a lot of times, of course, depending on how bad it is, sometimes I've said people, we have to go to see the medical doctor. Sometimes there's so much inflammation, but the testing tells you how much inflammation is in your gut. See, sometimes inflammation, this calprotectin is so high, you may have to see a medical doctor for a while to get that calm down, to maybe get something to take to calm it down. Otherwise, it's causing more problems than helping by maybe eating better, but there's so much damage in the gut, you're causing more problems. So sometimes you may have to see a medical doctor for a short time. You know, everybody's individual on that. But otherwise, we address the inflammation in the gut, the malabsorption, the digestive enzymes, the probiotic issue. A lot of people have candida going on in there too at the same time. All that stuff grows without proper microbiome. All the bad bacteria grow and they proliferate and cause more issues. So we assess what markers are going on. We treat those accordingly with nutrition, but also probably usually supplementation. And then there may be some exercise problems, or maybe, like I said, the anxiety that people have that has to come under control. So there's foods and supplements can control anxiety and depression.
Oops, you went mute. Oops, you went mute, Jerry. There you go. Now you're back.
Okay. Okay. So we assess the person physically, mentally, and chemically, and try and work on all the areas so they can calm themselves down, because anxiety causes malabsorption also. It causes more GI tract issues. It causes more susceptibility to gluten issues. So you want to look at all the areas that people have with subjective data and objective data. Then we look at a profile, as you said earlier, a profile on the patient. What's happening in this person's body? How can we help them feel better? So it's quite.
So let's talk a little bit about food in general, and specifically organic versus non-organic, and how that can affect someone's malabsorption and counteract anything that you're trying to do as a gluten-free person. Because even though you're gluten-free and you have stomach issues, there's a lot of non-organic food out there that contributes to the disruption of the microbiome in your gut. And tell me what your thoughts are.
Oh yeah, the pesticides, herbicides, the steroids, the hormones they put in food, your body reacts to those things negatively. All that stuff creates an immune response, which causes inflammation. It causes altered GI function. That's basic premise. And all this goes back to that clinical neuroendoimmunology type of thing, you know. So again, so the pesticides can do that. The herbicides, there's mold on food, the foods that we eat, you know, and all the stuff.
That's scary, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's brutal what's out there, what they're feeding us. Yeah, because it's terrible what people are taking in. So organic would be the optimal way to go. And again, there's different. You have to know read your food labels well. You have to understand what organic. There's different levels of organic and all that. So you have to understand that. I don't have those down in my brain properly at the moment to give you more information on that. But you want to eat as clean food as possible. Wash it when you get home. Cook your own food as best as possible. And read labels, you know, make sure it's got, food should have like 1 or 2 substances in there, and that's about it. And anymore, they're going to look for preservatives and pesticides and herbicides, all that kind of stuff they put in there.
So eat clean is the motto. Gluten, to help your gut heal and function properly, eat clean.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, eat clean. Yes, it definitely impact. People.
What is your take on, on helping people overcome the initial obstacles of being diagnosed with a gluten intolerance? And do you have any insight on coaching them to get over this hurdle and move forward positively from a food perspective?
Yeah, as far as see, when we get labeled having gluten sensitivities or celiacs, that's people again are more sensitive to having issues. It can be a psychological problem. Why you know? So I'm short. I've been short my whole life. You know, I haven't even thought about it, but I'm short. So it's just what it is, type of thing. You know, if I develop a gluten sensitivity, I have to accept that fact. Psychologically, the body goes through all these different phases of why am I this? Why am I that? I hate this now. And there's grieving stages, just like a divorce or separation or a death of something. The body goes through all these phases when we learn we have something. So that can be a major psychological barrier for some people. Some people say, well, that's what I got and I got to deal with it. So that's why when you talk to the person, or like when you give a Zoom meeting to your clients, those maybe you might have somebody talk about those things specifically, how they can overcome them, depending on where they're at. See, everybody's different how they handle it mentally. Okay, but otherwise, it's just an acceptance. You know, I'm me, and this is what I got to deal with, and deal with it effectively. And there's help out there, like you're helping people out. There's help out there for me, and there's a zillion. I'm not the only one. There's millions of other people out there that have these issues. So it's not like we're the only ones that get targeted.
It's 30% of the U.S. population is on a gluten-free diet, of a gluten-restricted diet or gluten-free diet of some sort. Yes. They're not all necessarily diagnosed with celiac or Crohn's disease, but they are on 30% of the U.S. population. More so in Canada, growing in India, China, all over the world because of the increase in celiac and Crohn's. It's interesting. The statistics are growing.
Because more processed food is getting out there. See,
yeah.
I forgot the years when it started, when they started introducing all this processed food. So when they started, was it 50s?
It was in the 50s. Yep.
Yeah. And all so that's what people realize. It's just what's happening to our body because we're not taking care of ourselves well. If we don't take care of ourselves well, the body will take itself from you. That's what it does. I talk about my athletes. You don't take care of your knee, the body's going to tell you, your knee is going to tell your body, stop doing everything because it's going to cause so much damage. We don't pay enough attention to what we eat. So the body says, look, my stomach hurts, so stop. It takes itself from you, and that's what it's doing. So if we take care of ourselves well, the body will not take itself from you because you're maintaining its integrity. We have 100 trillion cells in the body. Each cell in your body fights life or death to keep you healthy. It has a sodium potassium pump. There's so many nutrients in it, so many else. It kills itself to make you healthy. But we ignore all that. We just destroy our bodies, not ignoring what our body's trying to do to ourselves. We didn't take
because of our sugar cravings, because of our fast food cravings, because of anything we feel that we are entitled to have because we just can't not. We are doing lots of damage to our body because of those cravings.
Yes. So we have to find out realize that and find out where the cravings are coming from, and then we have to deal with it. Some people can handle it, some people can't. That's why people die because they can't take care of themselves well. Some people don't have the genetic makeup to take care of themselves as well. That's why people can't do as well. Some people will never be able to do as well. They don't have the genetic makeup mentally, physically, or chemically to take care of themselves well. That's why they need more help than others. And some people like yourself are strong-minded and powerful. You can handle these things. I'll take it by the bull by the horns and get something done. And there's people in the middle. So that's why people assess themselves. What can they do? Help themselves. Do they need outside help? Can they do it by themselves? That's an assessment on the individual.
So what would your advice be to someone in a family situation where they're the only one suffering with a gluten intolerance, and they are trying to do their best but are having conflict with family members? How do we help them overcome that obstacle?
Support can be very crucial, and sometimes it's hard to get support at home. You have to have talk with. It's like I think communication is like in any kind of relationship is crucial. You can have talk with your children, talk with your spouse, have meetings once a week with them, have them understand what you're going through. And sometimes the family members can deal with it. Sometimes the family members cannot deal with it. So then that's where they have to seek outside counseling or outside support groups like the gluten sensitivity groups, the meetup groups, all the Facebook pages. And I'm new to Cincinnati. I always talk about this. I've been here probably 4 years, but I'm still finding my niche to find people I can deal with here. Okay, I mean, there's people all wonderful, but I have to find. It's like I'm finding my people. So and with the gluten thing, it's the same thing. Or even finding a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever issue, a sport. You have to seek the people that support you in your cause. Okay, so sometimes it may not be within family. So you have to be tolerant of their issues or their problems that they cannot understand you, and maybe they cannot understand you because they don't have the mental capacity to understand you. They don't have a want to understand you. They don't want. Sometimes it's hard for people to deal with somebody eating different. So you have to be above them. We have to be above.
It is hard. I find as I read a lot of the things on the gluten-free different Facebook groups that there's a lot of gluten shaming going on, and it's hard. You're as an individual with this unfortunate physical situation that you have no control over, but you have to eat certain things in order to help you function properly. And to have compounded on that the stress of shame for having developed this, and how I find that a hard one to help people cope with.
And that's what it. That's a psychological thing. We have to be understanding. It's like people who have arthritis can be shamed. People who have different color can be shamed. People have little mental processes, anxiety. They could be shamed. So it's just an issue that it's a subject or a problem that we have to be able to adapt to. The hallmark of a healthy life is the ability to adapt to different situations. Okay, it's the ability to adapt to COVID. It's the ability to adapt to unemployment. That's the hallmark of aging. So we have to be as individuals stronger as best we can, and smarter and more empathetic with other people that understand us. They have their own problem. Who knows where they've been for 40 years or 20 years? We have no understanding. They may have had problems socially or nutrition-wise since they were ingrained in their family history, you know? So we have to be empathetic where they're coming, why they can't understand. And then we have to be able to relax with that and accept who we are. And again, as I said earlier, find our support groups, the supports. Then when we come to an environment that's not as friendly, we have to breathe and relax, understand other people, have empathy for other people that can't cope with us as well. Because family life is important, and it helps us thrive, and it should be as amicable as possible with everybody in the family, understanding each other as best as possible.
So on another subject, fast food versus cooking at home, and how they should be approached from a gluten or from a overall health standpoint, but from a gluten-free standpoint. Where do you stand there?
Well, eating at home is always going to be better because you know what you're putting in your food. You can cook it wisely with healthier, or makes it organic, or the vegetables and the things you want in there. Going out, you have to know where you're going. It's like I said, here's another premise. You have to know your body, you have to know your environment, and how your body responds in an environment. So, okay, I've been, I'll just do a quick little thought. Plant-based for over 45 years, right? I'm a 19-time master world champion. I've done Ironman trial, all this ultra in sports. But the key behind all these things, I know my body. I know where my body's going. What kind of environment? Is it hot environment? Is it cold environment? Is it a smoggy environment? Is there heavy, big things lifting environment? Then I want to know how my body responds in that environment. So here's the key. You know your body, where your body's going, and how it responds. So I know my body. If I'm gluten-free, I know my body. It doesn't like gluten. I'm going to go into a restaurant. Okay, the restaurant may have gluten-free stuff, may or may not, right? So first of all, you should always eat before. Okay, so unless you know the restaurant, if it has gluten-free things, you should always have something to eat before. Take your vitamins and minerals before, so you're not starving when you get there. You want to decrease your stressful reactions. I got to have this. You want to be ahead of the game. Then I'm going to Wendy's. I say I know I'm going to Wendy's. Well, Wendy's may not have anything I can have there. So if I go there, I may not even eat. A lot of times I got in trouble. I get people here Chicago shaming. I don't eat sometimes. I go to family get-togethers, and people would not like me for that. People would feel uncomfortable, and this caused some issues. But I had to do what I got to do, you know. And if it wasn't, and I understood where they were coming from. I just had to do what I got to do. I can't eat. I'm not going to make myself sick just to be in that happy environment. So if you go to Wendy's, sometimes you may not be able to eat with friends. You may bring your own food, and your friends will accept you for what they are. Sometimes it takes your friends and your family a little bit of time to understand you. Then other times they forget about it because they got their own issues they're worried about. Sometimes they're not going to care about what you eat except for the first couple of times. Then they're worried about they got to go to the bathroom. They got heart problems. They got depression. They don't even care so much about us once they see what you're doing. So when you go to restaurants, you have to know what they have available that's gluten-free. Okay, or you make sure you go to gluten-free restaurants and buy things as best as possible.
So stay strong in your protection of yourself. Because that is the most important thing. To make yourself sick, to avoid making someone else unhappy because you're not eating, is not the course you want to take for your own personal health and future health.
Right. Because you're not fixing yourself, you're making yourself sick, and you're not helping the environment either, because they're not accepting for who you are. It's a false situation. You know, nobody's winning. You know, so that's not very good.
So in your business, you have a chiropractic business.
Chiropractic, functional medicine, chiropractic.
There you go. How does chiropractic functional medicine support people who are gluten-free?
On the chiropractic side, see there's this is the basic premise too. There's the adjustment of the spinal column. That actually stimulates the nervous system, which helps the immune system get stronger. And all the nerves do help. When you adjust the body, the nerves, the lower lumbar spine affect the GI tract. So it has direct nervous system response to things healing and feeling better. So chiropractic itself is very, very, very helpful. I do recommend it. Now, massage is good. Acupuncture can be good. Anything that relieves stress in the body can be very beneficial. I do massage and I do physical therapy, so those can be beneficial for people to reduce stress, to reduce inflammation, and reduce immune response, and help the body calm down. With the functional medicine, I've been doing that for 25 years. That's the blood testing, hormone testing, GI panels, the stool testing, the hormone panels, all is beneficial to find out what kind of havoc has been raised on the body. Then you have objective data to deal with, monitor the progression of things to make sure these things heal and get better. Then everybody, you can always help things get better. You may not cure things, but you can always help modulate the expression of a disease so your body, it doesn't get worse, and you can live happily with it. You know, by modulating the expression of the problem. That's the key.
How can people find you?
Oh, my last name is Moylan, M-O-Y-L-A-N, MoylanChiropractic.com, or Dr. Jerry Moylan. It's Cincinnati. Yeah, and I'm going to have a Facebook page coming up. I'm working on that. But I have a website. There's a website, MoylanChiropractic.com. There's information on there. There's a diet format. There's a diet. The Dr. Jerry's Optimal Health Chart is on there. There's functional medicine, some pages on that. There's charts on there. And there's an anti-inflammatory. The diet form I have in there is anti-inflammatory, alkaline, low glycemic diet on there. That's what people. It's on there. Most people will be able to eat even gluten-free off of that. So that's what we want to achieve. We want an anti-inflammatory, alkaline, anabolic type of way of eating. So our body's always, so we decrease inflammation in the body rather than an acidic inflammatory diet, which most people do have. So even if you're eating gluten-free, you still want to be eating not just gluten-free, but even healthier than gluten-free, so you can restore your health to your body. So, and you can always call. My phone number is 858-245-9293.
Awesome. Jerry, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you let me record it so that I can refer back to it. And with your permission, I would love to be able to share it on my Facebook page and possibly my my webpage. This was so informative to me, and I can't wait to share it with other people to help them better understand and cope with what they're going through, and know that there are solutions that are really good to help them improve their health, their gut microbiome, and their mental capacity to be able to deal with this new interruption in their life that they had no control over.
I'm very proud of you for doing what you're doing, taking control and charge of helping people. You should be congratulated for yourself for doing all these wonderful things.
Well, thanks. we have to get out there and help people. There's a lot of people suffering with these issues. Well, great. I'm going to turn off recording. Let's see, how do I do that?